Hello, sports fans. It is Wednesday, October the 8th, the year 2014. And as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. College football picks for week number 7 coming up shortly. Let's quickly touch on the baseball last night, where the St. Louis Cardinals eliminate the Los Angeles Dodgers 3-1. The Cardinals rally and win the game last night 3-2. The Dodgers are up 2-0 in the 7th inning. Kershaw is cruising. He has a one-hitter, and just like in Game 1, it all fell apart. The Cardinals get a couple of base hits, and then Matt Adams hits the huge 3-run homer off a hanging breaking ball from Kershaw. Cardinals take the lead. They go on to win, and they eliminate the Dodgers in 4 games. Tremendous job by St. Louis. They have been to 4 straight National League Championship Series. St. Louis was so clutch in this series, especially after the 7th inning. They had huge home runs. It's funny, the St. Louis left-handed batters just ate up the Dodger left-handed pitching in this series. So tremendous job by St. Louis, and you have to be sick if you're a Dodger fan. I mean, you have to be sick. You blow Game 1 with a 6-1 lead with Kershaw on the mound, and then last night you're up 2-0 with Kershaw on the mound in the 7th inning, and you blow that game. And how about Kershaw? How bad must he feel? He had a tremendous season this year. He's going to win the MVP and the Cy Young, and he takes the loss in the deciding game last night. He gives up a home run to Adams, and in Game 1 he lets a 6-1 lead slip away. So he must be sick. The Dodger bullpen was atrocious in this series. Everyone that Mattingly brought in gave up a home run, so the Dodgers got to improve on their bullpen. But congratulations to St. Louis and their fans. I mean, what a tremendous job by them. And they will play the San Francisco Giants. The Giants eliminate the Washington Nationals last night. They win the game 3-2. They win the series 3-1. So that sets up a San Francisco-St. Louis National League Championship Series. Those two teams have been the gold standard in the National League for a while now. So great job by both of those teams. Should be a really good series. And remember, on the American League side, you have Kansas City and Baltimore. All right, without further ado, let's get to our college football picks for week number 7. Last week was a tremendous week in college football. This week is a pretty good week as well. Let's get to it right now. Pick number 1, let's go down to West Virginia. Let's go down to Marshall, where Marshall at home is -21 against Middle Tennessee State. Marshall is 5-0. Middle Tennessee State a very respectable 4-2. If you haven't seen Marshall play, check them out. The quarterback is dynamic. The offense is electric. They score 1,000,000 points. I've been talking about them all year. I think they're going to go undefeated. Now, they're not going to get to the Final Four playoff. They don't have that type of schedule, but they have a really nice team. Marshall always has a decent program, so definitely check out Marshall. They are fun to watch. As far as this game, I know Middle Tennessee State is respectable at 4-2, but I think they're tangling with a different hombre this week. Marshall can put up points in a hurry, especially at home. They've been blowing teams out all year. I think Marshall wins this game comfortably. I think Marshall puts up about 56 in this game. I see Marshall winning this game, 56 to 27, something like that. I think Marshall is way too much for Middle Tennessee State. I will give the 21, so pick number 1. Marshall -21 against Middle Tennessee State. Marshall will remain undefeated. Pick number 2, let's go up to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse. Number 1 ranked Florida State, and the defending national champions, by the way, are -23 against Syracuse. Florida State is 5-0. Syracuse is 2-3. They've lost 3 in a row. Now their quarterback is out. They've demoted their offensive coordinator. Syracuse is a mess. Syracuse is an absolute mess. They can't score. They can't move the ball from here to there. That's a bad recipe when you go up against Winston and Florida State. That is a very bad recipe. Florida State should pick their score in this game. They may shut Syracuse out. Florida State bombed Wake Forest last week 43-3. It's going to be that type of game this week. I think Florida State wins this game about 45-0. They will not be challenged in this game. The Syracuse fans will be heading home early. Syracuse just demolishes Florida State just demolishes Syracuse up in the Carrier Dome this week. Game will never be close. Should be over in the first quarter. Pick number 2 is Florida State -23 against the Cuse. Pick number 3, Baylor at home. Ranked number 5, by the way. -10 against TCU, who's ranked number 9. Both of these teams are undefeated. Baylor is 5-0. TCU is 4-0. TCU had the huge win last week at home against Oklahoma. Baylor didn't look so great last week against Texas. Their offense was kind of not in gear. This week, though, I think Baylor gets it in gear. Hard to keep that offense down 2 weeks in a row. By the way, if you haven't seen Baylor's new stadium, check it out. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I think Baylor is going to have a big week offensively. I think they're going to rebound off the poor performance last week. And TCU is in an impossible spot this week. They had an emotional high win at home against Oklahoma. And now you expect them to go on the road and beat undefeated and number 5 ranked Baylor. That is an impossible spot for TCU. Hard for any team to pull off that back-to-back. I think TCU is walking into a buzzsaw this week. I think the game will be close early. Baylor pulls away late. I like Baylor to win by 14 points in this game. So I like Baylor minus 10 against TCU in Waco. That is pick number 3. Pick number 4. Here is a great game. Probably the game of the week. This is where College Game Day is. Let's go to Starkville, Mississippi, where number 2 ranked Auburn is minus 3.5 against the number 3 ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. Auburn is 5-0. Mississippi State is 5-0. This has, SEC championship ramifications written all over it. Though, the winner of this game could get to the Final Four playoff. This is an absolutely monster game. Auburn just demolished LSU last week. Mississippi State just bombed Texas A&M at home. Looked really good doing it. To me, this is a white knuckler of a game. This game could go either way. To me, it's a field goal game. I'm jumping on Mississippi State at home with the 3.5. I took them last week. They covered for me. I'm going to take them again here. Auburn had one big road game this year at Kansas State. They barely hung on and survived. Didn't play well. I think Mississippi State being at home, they're big, they're physical, they're nasty. I think they hang in this game. They possibly could pull off the upset here. I think it's a field goal game either way, but I'm jumping on Mississippi State at home. Getting 3.5, I'll take that. So pick number 4, Mississippi State plus 3.5 against Auburn in Starkville. Pick number 5, let's go down to Fayetteville, Arkansas, with the number 7 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide on minus 10.5 against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Alabama is 4-1. Remember, they had that heartbreaking loss to Ole Miss last week. Arkansas is 3-2. They lost to Auburn and Texas A&M. Arkansas is coming. They are on their way. The coach is doing a nice job stockpiling talent. Now, they're not ready to do anything major this year, but they are coming. Alabama, you have to figure they're going to bounce back this week. Saban always has his troops ready to play. They had that heartbreaking loss last week, but they're not eliminated from anything. They're ranked number 7. They can still get back into the SEC title race. They can still make that, Final Four playoff. This is a very important game for Alabama. Now, I think this spread is way too high. I think 10.5 is way too high. Alabama's got some injuries. I do think Alabama is going to squeak this game out. Hard to see them losing 2 games in a row, but I think it's going to be close. I think Arkansas hangs in the game. So I'm going to take Alabama to win, but Arkansas plus 10.5. So Arkansas at home plus 10.5 against Alabama is pick number 5. Let's go out west. Let's go to the Rose Bowl in UCLA with the number 12 ranked Oregon Ducks on minus 3.5 against the number 18 UCLA Bruins. Both teams 4-1. Both teams coming off very disappointing losses. Oregon lost to Arizona for the 2nd straight year. This year they lost to them in Eugene. And UCLA lost at home to Utah. So both teams coming off disappointing losses. If either team wants to do anything the rest of the year, they have to have this game. This is a must game for both teams. I don't like what I see at all from Oregon. I am off the Oregon bandwagon. Their offensive line is atrocious. They can't protect the quarterback. Their defense is, as usual, soft. They don't play well on the road, Oregon. They are a soft team. I am totally off their bandwagon. Now, I didn't like that UCLA lost at home to Utah, but I am going to jump on UCLA at home, getting 3.5 against an Oregon team that has no offensive line, no defense, and doesn't play well on the road. I think UCLA wins this game outright, so I will take UCLA plus 3.5 against Oregon. That is pick number 6. Pick number 7, let's stay out west. Let's go to Tucson, Arizona, where the USC Trojans are -3.5 against the Arizona Wildcats, who are undefeated and ranked number 10. Arizona is 5-0. Like I said, they upset Oregon. They had the Hail Mary win against Cal, so Arizona is doing a great job this year. USC, a very disappointing 3-2. They beat Stanford earlier in the year. They were ranked in the top 10. Then they got bombed at BC when they gave up like 4,000 yards rushing to Boston College. Then they lost that inexplicable game last week to Arizona State when they gave up a Hail Mary. So very disappointed in USC. I'm going to take Arizona here. They're undefeated. They're home. They're getting 3.5. USC's already lost a couple games, and Arizona for big games is a very tough place to play. That place can be a snake pit. It is going to be electric in Tucson. I'm going to take Arizona. I'm going to jump all over the 3.5. I love that I'm getting points at home. I think Arizona can win this game outright, so I will take Arizona plus 3.5 against USC. That is pick number 7. Pick number 8, let's go down to Clemson, South Carolina, where the Clemson Tigers are -11 against the Louisville Cardinals. Clemson is 3-2. Louisville is 5-1. Clemson lost to Georgia and Florida State. Hey, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. The Clemson freshman quarterback is an absolute star. He is dynamite. You should check this guy out. Ever since they put him in the lineup, Clemson's been scoring 1,000,000 points. I think they'll score 1,000,000 points this week. Clemson is an impossible place to play. Very few teams go in there and win. I don't think Louisville has the squad to do it. I think Clemson cruises in this game. They cover the 11 points. I like Clemson -11 against Louisville. And the final pick of the day, another great game. This is probably the second best game of the weekend. You know, Mississippi State Auburn is probably the best game. Actually, Baylor TCU is a great game too, but this is right up there. Number 14 ranked Texas A&M is -3 against number 3 Ole Miss. Texas A&M is home in this game. Texas A&M is 5-1. Ole Miss 5-0. Texas A&M was routed last week at Mississippi State. They were blown out. Ole Miss had the huge win against Alabama last week. I mean, the fans stormed the field. Unbelievable win at Ole Miss. To me, I think this is an impossible spot for Ole Miss. Just like I talked about TCU having to do it 2 weeks in a row. How about Ole Miss? You beat Alabama at home, and then you got to go to Texas A&M. And Texas A&M is going to be angry. They just got blown out at Mississippi State. They have to win if they have any chance of doing anything big, this year. College Station is an impossible place to play as well. Really tough back-to-back for Ole Miss. I mean, they are walking into a very impossible spot here. That's the SEC. You have to navigate all these games and these venues. That's why it's the best conference. I mean, week after week. I mean, Ole Miss just played Alabama. Now you got to go to Texas A&M. I mean, come on. Impossible spot for Ole Miss. I think they go down this week. I think Texas A&M beats them. I think the game is close, but A&M with that home crowd ekes it out, so I like Texas A&M to beat Ole Miss. Texas A&M -3. So once again, in review, here are my picks for Week 7 in college football. I like Marshall at home, -21 against Middle Tennessee State. I like Florida State, -23 up in Syracuse. I like Baylor at home, -10 against TCU. I like Mississippi State at home, +3.5 against Auburn in one of the games of the day. I like Arkansas, +10.5 at home against Alabama, although I do think Alabama will win. I like UCLA at home, +3.5 against Oregon. I like Arizona at home, +3.5 against USC. I like Clemson at home, -11 against Louisville. And I like Texas A&M at home, -3 against Ole Miss. There are some really, really nice games in college football this week. So those are my picks for week number 7. As far as the weekend, as far as what to watch this weekend, listen, you got a lot of stuff, guys. You got a lot of stuff to watch. The baseball, Baltimore, Kansas City should be a fascinating series. St. Louis and San Francisco, just as good. 2 great baseball series. As far as the college football, I just outlined it for you. Auburn, Mississippi State, must watch. Texas A&M, Ole Miss, must watch. Baylor, TCU, another must-watch game. A few other games that I didn't touch on, that I didn't pick. Notre Dame, North Carolina. You want to see if Notre Dame can remain undefeated. This is kind of a sandwich game for Notre Dame. They had the big win against Stanford last week, and they have the huge game against Florida State next week. You want to see if Notre Dame can take care of business here. Oklahoma and Texas is always fun. The Red River Shootout at the Cotton Bowl, although it's lost a little luster this year with Texas being so bad and Oklahoma losing, but it's always a fun game. Georgia, Missouri is interesting. Duke, Georgia Tech, you want to see if Georgia Tech can remain undefeated. And LSU, Florida is interesting. Both teams are not in the top 25. When's the last time you saw LSU and Florida both not in the top 25? This is not a vintage LSU team at all. They've already lost a couple games. And Florida, the coach is fighting to keep his job. He's got to go to at least a bowl game to keep his job. And Florida has all sorts of issues off the field this week. So those are some of the games in college football. As far as the NFL, you got the big Seattle-Dallas game. Philly and the Giants is a really good game. Indianapolis-Houston on Thursday night, very good. Cincinnati-Carolina, battle of two first-place teams. And New England and Buffalo is intriguing. So you guys have a lot to watch in baseball, college football, and the NFL. You guys are all set. You guys are all caught up. I will be back with you guys Monday. We'll recap the whole weekend. You guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the games. I will talk to you Monday. Take care.